Hello everybody, Big Beardy back again with another video. Oh yeah, we're in the van! We're in the van! Yes, not working, I'm still in isolation. But anyway, so before we get started, please, if you don't already subscribe, go slam that subscribe button. Also, there's that little bell icon, give that a smack, because that will inform you of any other videos I drop. Also, if you're not already on it, check out the Discord, link down below. Lots of people on there, lots of idea sharing, especially if you want information or you're new to the industry, a great place to talk to people. And if you just want to go on and talk to people who do the same job and have a laugh and meet some new friends, it's great for that as well. We've got a really good community on there. About 200 people on the Big Beardy Discord at the moment, all sharing ideas, all talking and all having a good time. So go check it out. So let's get into the video. Now I was asked, I think it was on the Discord actually, stick or twist. When you finish doing a job, do you stay where you are or do you move somewhere else where it might be more profitable? Really good question. I used to twist. I used to move. Obviously there's exceptions. If I'm in Manchester or, you know, the Midland area, I'm not going to move. There's enough work. But when you're in those sort of rural areas, do you move towards the cities? And I used to move towards them. I had a problem a couple of times doing that, and I'll talk about that in a bit at the end. But now I tend to stick. Now there are exceptions to the rule. There are three probably areas of the UK you really need to move. One is the Cornwall. If you're down the bottom of Cornwall, not a lot of work. Not a lot at all. There is the occasional job, don't get me wrong. But it's very slim pickings. So you might want to start moving towards Exeter. Now the problem with that obviously is if you're at the bottom of Cornwall to move to Exeter, you're looking at like an hour and a half drive. You don't think it's that long, but it is because there's no motorways or anything. So there is a bit, is there a motorway? I know there's like an A road, a long A road, but like I said, it's slow going. But you should start moving towards back into England. Central Wales, nothing. Very little work comes out of Central Wales. If you're in there, you want to move to England, or you want to go up towards Liverpool, Manchester, or you want to go down towards Cardiff. Stay in that central area, next to nothing. And then the Highlands. Once you go past Glasgow, Edinburgh, and you're going north of that, next to no work. There's a little bit of Inverness, a little bit out of Aberdeen, but apart from that, slim pickings. Also, places like if you're in the Peak District or the Lake District, it's a little bit harder to get work out of those areas. You want to sort of get out of the country parks and get into where there are actually industrial areas. So those are the sort of places where you need to move. But if you're not in those areas, I generally stay put. The first thing you should do, once you're pulled up, I've just dropped off my job, I usually pull up around the corner, park the van in a safe place obviously, get straight on the CX or whatever app you're using, or phone a shipper you know's in that area and see if there's work straight away. Because if you can find a job within seconds, like literally bang, oh look, there's a job 10 minutes away on the CX, bid on it, win it, boom, problem solved. You don't have to worry about moving or sticking. Get on that next job. If there's nothing, I generally stick. The example I'll give is I was in Burgess Hill, just north of Brighton. I was there for about half an hour and I'm like, I'm in a shit area here, nothing is pinging. So I moved. I started moving north. And so I moved sort of 10 miles and then had a look on my phone, and there was the odd job, so I started bidding on it, but didn't win them. And then I moved another 10 miles north and still didn't get anything. And then half an hour later, moved another 10 miles. I eventually won a job out of Burgess Hill. So I had to drive back. So I ended up doing about 50 miles travel to get back to the exact same place I was. That's why I tend not to move anymore. You know, if you wait, jobs will pop up in most areas. You know, you just got to, sometimes you might have to bid a little bit lower just to make sure you win that job. But I think it's better to stay where you are. Even if you're in, like, I know a lot of people say Southampton and Peterborough are really scarce for work. Not a lot comes out there, which I find quite surprising. But what are your options? You either stay there, wait it out, or you move towards London. That's a lot of miles. One of the main things in this game is get rid of your dead miles. I know time's money, but dead miles will kill your business. So I would rather wait an hour, 2 hours longer and finally win a job than drive and get a job half an hour earlier, but I've driven 30, 40 miles to get it. So I tend to stick where I am. Now, there are a few exceptions in good areas. For example, if you're in the middle of a city, let's say you've just dropped off in a city centre, move to the industrial areas. Why? Parking is a nightmare in the centre of a city. Plus, if you're in an industrial area, a lot of cities have ring roads and stuff. You want to be in an area where you can get to various different places. Also, if I'm in an area where, you know, that Sheffield, Doncaster area, sometimes I plank myself right in the middle of like 3 or 4 cities so I can get all of that information. Like Coventry, Leicester, sit myself in the middle of them because then I'm close to both rather than just edging my bets in one. If I'm in London, especially if I'm on the west side of London, you know, sort of in that Fulham area, I start making my way to Slough. One of the reasons is more work comes out of Slough, and if you're in central London, it's still going to take you 30-40 minutes to only go 10 miles. Better to start making your way that way because then you're closer, more likely to win the work. Because Heathrow Airport, a lot of work comes out of Slough. I'd rather be there getting that work, and also you're near the M25, you can start going other places. So you want to move maybe a little bit, but when you start chasing, it's when it becomes a problem. When it's like, oh, I'm just going to move 10 miles closer to Bristol. And then it's like, oh, well, Bristol's only 20 miles away now, and then I'm going to move another 10 miles closer to Bristol. And then you get to Bristol and the job pings back where you were. That's when it comes a problem. I have taken the stance of I'm just going to stay where I am 95% of the time because eventually something will pop up. So that's how I look at it. So like I said, there's no right answer to this. There's 100 wrong answers. There's like 2 right answers. The right answer is you stick where you are and a job pings next to you 5 minutes later, or you start driving the direction and a job pings in front of you. You know, which is if you hadn't started moving, you wouldn't have been next to it. Plenty of wrong answers, I said. So, but knowing your areas is really important, of knowing where to actually plonk yourself. I think this is more important. It's not really should I move to a busy area, it's should I put myself in the best position in that area. I mentioned before I tend to go to places like Tesco's and Sainsbury's, the big ones. Why? Because they're generally near industrial estates. They're generally on the outskirts of cities, so it's easy to get out of the city. You're not fighting through traffic. So when you get that phone call from them, they go, how far away are you? Oh, well, I'm actually 40 minutes away. But if you were 5 miles out of the city, you're now 10 minutes away because you don't have to fight your way out of traffic. So I tend to plonk myself in places like the Tesco's, Sainsbury's. Plus, you usually get to park there for half an hour, 3 hours. There's no restrictions, so you can plonk yourself there and you don't have to worry. They've got toilets, they've got facilities, you're sorted. Getting yourself on the outskirts of cities or getting yourself in between cities so you have a much bigger radius of where you can get work. If you're in that sort of Burgess Hill area, it's in between Brighton and London, that area is quite dead. There's a big area there south of London which is actually quite dead. It's very tempting to move up towards London. But what you're doing then is, yes, you're potentially moving towards work, but you're also moving a lot closer to competition. So you're driving towards lower prices. That's one way to look at it. You could drive towards Brighton. You're driving Brighton isn't as good as London, but there's a hell of a lot less competition. So you're driving towards higher prices potentially. But you don't know. It changes from day to day. So what I would say is stick. Don't move. Just figure out where you are. Look on your map. Right, I'm here. Where's the best area to be? Here. Where's maybe you might want to just move a couple of miles south or north or east or west so that your radius we'll use the CX for the example, so your radius of your CX, which is I think usually 30 miles on most people's phone, actually takes in a city rather than being slightly the other way and then you don't get any of the work in that city because it's not on your radar. So that's a good idea to do. I tend to do that quite a lot. If I'm like, right, I'm 35 miles away from whichever city, we'll use Bristol for example, I'm in the middle of nowhere, I'm going to move 5 miles towards Bristol. I'm not going to go any further because I'm just killing petrol, but now I've actually got it in my circle so I can see if there's any work coming out of that, and if there is, boom, I can move there if I win a job. That's tend to be what I do. So when it comes to stick or twisting, if I'm in those bad areas, Cornwall, Central Wales, Scotland, I'll just start moving towards work. I'll obviously have a look at my phone, see if there's anything local. No, bang, start moving. Anywhere else in England or the rest of the UK, I'm not going to move. I will position myself for the best opportunity, but I'm not going to go and drive 10, 15, 20 miles for the sake of driving 10, 15, 20 miles. It's not worth it. You might do it 10 times and it might work for you 10 times, but then you might do it for the next 10 times you do it, you might fail. I don't want to use dead miles. I'd rather wait an extra 30 minutes, extra hour if I have to, extra hour and a half, and not waste money on fuel. That's just me. And just so you all know, this is just my opinion. Okay, so I know people are going to get on the comments, you're full of shit. Don't worry, that's fine, you can put that if you want, but I don't really care. This is just my opinion. I stick. I stay where I am, and I position myself in the area I am, which is going to be the most profitable, will give me the most opportunity to win work in that area. If I'm in Manchester, I'm not even going to worry. I know there's work. I could put myself fucking anywhere in Manchester, I'm going to win work. If I'm in the Slough area, there's work. If I'm in the Midlands, there's work. I don't have to worry, but those other small, quieter places, just get yourself into the right position. You will learn these tricks over time. This is something you know, for you newbies out there, you will get the hang of it. You'll be like, right, maybe it's experience. For the people who are watching this who are experienced, you know these tricks. You know where you need to put yourself. Like myself, I have a place in pretty much every major city in the country where I want to plonk myself. Yeah, we've all got that certain lay-by outside of whatever city. It's like, right, that's where I want to be because I know there's work in that area. And if I plonk myself in that lay-by, I get that place and I get that place. We've all got those places. So it takes experience, but you'll figure it out. You will figure it out. It does take, it's just learning your area. And like I said, one of the things you really have to do is just learn areas. You know, the tool I use a lot on the Curry Exchange is Who's Nearby. It's a great tool. I use it all the time. One of the reasons is if there's a load of drivers in an area and it's like, well, why on earth are they there? Well, if there's a load of drivers there, there's a reason why they're there. Because they know that's a good place to get work. If there's a city and all the drivers are on one side of the city, why? Because that's where the fucking work is, all right? So just use a bit of this, use the tools at your disposal, and it becomes a lot easier. So I hope that's answered that question. Stick or twist? I stick. Majority of the time. I might shift myself a little bit around. I might try and put myself so I can pick up another city, or, you know, I'll be on the outskirts of the city so it's easier for me to get to work. And I obviously try and put myself close to industrial areas because most of our work becomes out of industrial areas. There's no point putting yourself in the middle of a housing estate because generally not a lot of work comes out of them for us same day dudes. But yeah, that's what I do. So I hope this helps some people. Please like, comment and subscribe, and as always, be safe out there. Have a great day.